We are reading this wonderful book, A Hero of Our Time by Mikhail Lermontov. It's quite interesting, quite fun, and very well written. This book was very criticized. Many people were angry with this book. So let's explore what happened. I continue. I'm in the first chapter called Bella. Did he stay long with you? I asked again. About a year. But a memorable year it was for me, indeed. He caused me no end of trouble, though this certainly it is not what I remember him by. There really exist certain people to whom it is assigned at their birth to have all sorts of extraordinary things happen to them. Extraordinary things? I exclaimed with an air of curiosity, while I poured him some more tea. Well, let me tell you. About 4 miles from the fort, there lived a neutral prince. His young son, a boy of 15 or so, took to riding over to our place. Every day he would come for one thing or another. We had really spoiled him, Behoring, and I. And what a daredevil he was, game for anything, picking up a cap at full gallop, or shooting a rifle. There was one thing bad about him. He had an awful weakness for money. Once, in jest, Pecorin promised him a gold piece if he would steal for him the best goat from his father's herd. And what do you think? The very next night, there he came, dragging the goat by the horns, and sometimes he would start teasing him, and then his eye would get all bloodshot, and his hand would at once fly to his dagger. "Hey, Azamat, you won't keep your head long on your shoulders," I would say to him. "Yaman, bath. It will be with your head." One day, the old prince himself came to invite us to a wedding. He was marrying off his eldest daughter, and we were kunaks with him. There was therefore no way to refuse, even though he was a Tatar. So we went. At his village, a lot of dogs met us with loud barking. The women hid at the sight of us. Those whose faces we were able to make out were far from being beauties. I had a far better opinion of Circassian women, said Pecorin to me. "Just wait," I replied with a smile. I had something up my sleeve. A lot of people had already gathered at the prince's house with those Asiatics. It is the custom to invite one and all to their weddings. We were received with all possible honors and shown into the konak room. However, I did not forget to note where they had put our horses, just in case. "How do they celebrate a wedding?" I asked the junior captain. "Oh, the usual way. At first, the mullah reads them something out of the Koran. Then presents are given to the young couple and all their relatives. They eat, they drink, buza. Then the trick riding begins, and there is always some ragamuffin, greasy with dirt, on a wretched lame pony, who fools and clowns much to the amusement of the good company. And then after dark, what we could call a ball begins in the konak room. Some miserable little old man twangs his three-stringed, I forget the local word for it. Anyway, something like our balalaika. The girls and the young men form two rows opposite each other, clap their hands and sing. Then one girl and one man step into the middle and begin chanting verses to each other, anything they happen to think of, and the other pick up the refrain in chorus. Pecorin and I were sitting in the place of honor, and up to him came our host's young daughter, a girl of about 16, and sang to him, how shall I say, a kind of compliment. And what was, if And was it she sang to him? Do you remember? Yes, I believe it was like this. Svelte it went. Svelte it went. Are our young warriors, and their caftans are trimmed with silver. But the young Russian officer is svelter than they, and his coat is braided with gold. He stands like a poplar among them, but is not fated that he should grow and blossom in our garden. Pechorin stood up, bowed to her, touched his hand to his forehead and then to his heart, and asked me to answer her. I know their language well, and translated his answer. When she had moved away from us, I whispered to Pechorin, "Well, what did you think of her?" "Charming," he answered. "What is her name?" "Her name is Bella," I replied. And indeed she was beautiful, tall, slender, with black eyes which resembled those of a mountain gazelle, and practically peered into your soul. Lost in thought, Pechorin did not take his eyes off her, and quite often she would steal a glance at him from under her brows. But Pechorin was not the only one to admire the pretty young princess. From a corner of the room there looked at her another pair of eyes, immobile and fiery. I looked closer and recognized my old acquaintance, Kazbich. He was, do you know, neither exactly neutral nor exactly hostile. He was suspected of many things, though he had never been involved in any mischief. At times he would bring sheep to our fort and sell them cheap, but he would never haggle. Whatever his asking price was, you had to pay it. You could cut his throat, and still he would not come down. It was rumored of him that he liked to prowl on the Russian side of the Kuban River with abreks, and to tell the truth, his countenance was that of a regular robber. He was small, weary, broad-shouldered, and so nimble he was. It was the nimblessness of a devil. His beshmet was always in tatters, all patched up, but his weapons were chased with silver, and his horse was the talk of the whole Kabardan region. Indeed, you could not think of anything more handsome than that horse. No wonder every horseman envied him, and there had been more than one attempt to steal it. But no one succeeded. It is as if I were looking at that horse now, pitch black, legs like taut strings, and eye no less beautiful than Bella's. And what strength! You could ride him 30 miles, and how well he was trained, ran after his master like a dog, even knew his voice, as a matter of fact. Kazbich would never tie him, just the right horse of a bandit. Wow. Great.